Welcome, everybody. Welcome to episode 3 of the Untitled Experimental Live podcast, featuring the three of us. I don't think any of us have personas, but this podcast definitely has a hyena persona. So I think that's valid. I think you can have like a concept or like a group have a persona. I mean, what's a mascot?
I don't go in for that anti-Christian behavior.
Well, what would be a pro-Christian behavior?
I don't know, an angel sona maybe.
Well,
how many?
Well, then
in the background.
So if we had an angel sona, how many eyes would it have?
What's the number of God? That exponentially, whatever that is.
Well, the number of God is 3, and we have our third eye open, so I think that's really.
It can't be 9. It gotta be at least 27. Come on now. Anyway, introduce yourself.
Yeah. Anyway, hello. Thank you for keeping us attractive. Hello, I'm Anna. Pronouns she, her. I have a love. Yes, we're doing that gay shit. So yeah, I love QAnon, and where we go one, we go all, and I can't wait for the Great Awakening.
I'm Duke. I'm the anti-crank of the group. My pronouns are he, him. Gamer. I'm waiting for the great nuclear apocalypse that will wipe all sinners from this earth, bringing the problem to rapture, from where the true African masters will raise from the grave like Necron soldiers, exterminate all white men, keep the white women for their fat booties, and repopulate the earth.
Fine, we're not there yet, so I'll just put up this horrifying bright white image that it's painful to look at.
Anna has killed almost 10,000 people, one below the atrocity level. I've killed no one, so let's keep track of that.
Yeah, so probably something I need to get in the habit of doing is explaining whatever my name is on every podcast. Today it's body count 9999 because it has been decreed that if a character kills 10,000 people, they are no longer redeemable. So I'm just gotta keep. I have one last chance. I can't blow it.
Now, if the broad will keep it together, so I can do my intro. I'm ComThrills. I want to wish a happy International Men's Day to all my kings and princes out there. If you're not a man on this most esteemed day, I don't want you to post on social media, but I instead want you to boost men's voices. This is a time when we're celebrating them and their accomplishments and their needs.
Damn right, brother. And to the person who asked about white women without fat booties, they can be spared too if they're not too reactionary, or they gotta go to cuck shed, get re-educated. I don't make the rules. I don't believe in imprisonment, but I was outvoted, so.
Alright, so yeah, welcome everybody. We do have a theme today we're going to get to, but
we don't, but okay.
Thanks, dude.
I'm looking at these show notes, and there's like, if you really squint and hide half of them, there's maybe a theme.
At least shows up for the fires. No presence in the server, just shows up for the fires.
Well,
it's for me. It's my adoring fan base I bring with me.
Just the gambling anime when they're like, I hate all these fucking otaku. I hope they blow their fucking skulls off, and then at least it's like, I care. I love you all.
Well, as I was saying before, I was so rudely interrupted by people who refuse to read show notes and then say that we don't have
show notes. They're schizophrenic scribbles. I'm sorry.
Yeah, they're made out of your posts. So whose fault is that? It's whose fault is that?
You can't take a post and make it into a show note. There's an art to it.
Well, like you play in every episode. Oh, I don't know what we're talking about. I can't follow along. Oh no, there's 5 seconds of stream delay, and I can't see a website. So now I have all the websites we're gonna visit are all right there. So
and it talks louder, and my fist has to fight it, and I'm like, okay, This is not a challenge to my kung fu. I thought I was gonna be challenged on my kung fu. Can I be challenged, please?
All right. So to get started, I just wanted to quickly go over how like Q is a cock, continues being a cock. Apparently, we did actually get a drop a week ago of this bullshit. Also, this isn't 8kun because I don't believe in pedophilia. I think it's bad, controversial. I know. So
I
like,
disagree. We can debate that later.
wait, no, this was all the same day. No, this cock hasn't like posted in a week, and that was after like disappearing after the election. So yeah, Q can get fucked. Like, what are they even doing? Like, I don't. I'm not really like. Of course, like I didn't really think that Trump losing would really do anything to like QAnoners, but I'm surprised it's like this dead. Like, I think there would be some reaction, even though I thought it would be more of like a more emboldening than anything, like, you know, kind of, or at least like a doubling down compaction cycle.
It's like
you have like a
like any cult. He was like any cult. You get all the guys that were just reading like it. I mean, we all are people matter. At least two of us. Listen to Matt Crispin. He said it's you know it's like reading your horoscope. Once it was boring, you start reading it, but then you get 30% of the cult will keep up with it. So
well, exactly, yeah, and like this is the kind of event that in a cult is a compaction cycle, because you'll have things where like people just recruit, but then it's like they compact and like they shed a bunch of the followers that aren't the true believers, but they keep like this core of hardcore followers, and they do like compaction and expansion cycles. It's pretty much how all of these kinds of things work. So like, but that's the thing, I haven't even seen like a big compaction cycle or anything like that. It's been kind of a wet fart, like, and like people like QAnoners aren't compacting, they're not even really getting more riled up. It's very, very odd. So yeah, I think.
I mean, I disagree because like the QAnon guys they're basically rewriting the canon because like if you look at them, they're like, oh, Trump was actually a CIA Democratic misdirection, the true Q, blah blah blah. So even if we only have 30% of the QAnon guys, they're the true believers. So that's what they've been saying.
I do wonder if there is any chance of Q kind of spinning out of control too, or like QAnon, really, not Q themselves, because like the whole mythos has been based around Trump being like the secret agent that's going to like, lock everybody up and bring the Great Awakening or whatever. And like obviously that's not happening, but as anybody who knows anything about cults and religious belief knows, like prophecy's not coming true doesn't mean shit as far as like, faith in the adherents. But like it'd be interesting if a lot of this, if to see a realignment with QAnoners, it's like where they think Trump's part of the problem, and now they're just generally against the deep state, and like I guess Q would still be fighting the big fight. So
yeah, they basically said Trump was a false prophet. Biden's the Antichrist, and they're gonna wait for the next idiot. That's basically what they've been saying right now. Because just looking at all these MAGA flag idiots on Twitter, God knows if I put on my biohazard suit and go to, was it Parlor or whatever, and try to go to that fucking wasteland, I'm sure they're saying similar shit.
I haven't. I'm a little scared to like go look at Parlor, but I might have to for content.
We'll Trump's
see.
Still got a couple months. I wouldn't rule out him locking her up. It might come around. He really was the hero after all.
He locks up Hillary Clinton and does nothing else. It wouldn't change anything because one, Hillary's dead. Obama rules the Democratic Party. Hillary's a fucking relic. So.
Well, yeah, Obama won 2 elections, whereas Hillary won 0. So
got pwned in 2 primaries and a general election. Loser, absolute fucking loser.
Yeah, so as I think it would be amusing though. At least I would personally very much enjoy it if like he like locked Hillary up but did nothing else. Like naturally it didn't do shit. I think that would be
on International Men's Day. We celebrate women's suffering.
Now, what would be funny if she got on some bullshit charge too? It was like she failed some weird campaign finance law, and she's doing like 99 years because they did a year for every charge or something.
They get her like a Ghislaine thing where she was funneling minors to Hunter Biden.
It's like, this isn't about Benghazi. No, Benghazi was perfectly legal. This is about your failure to file taxes in New Jersey.
Benghazi ain't going away.
I've never been to New Jersey, but your LLC has case granted.
Yeah, which because the chat box is obviously not on my monitor. I gotta line it up here. I can see.
It's big enough to see because I don't have it. I can only see it at full resolution.
Well, I've also made it bigger so the words show up. Like, because I watch my own stream in like a little tiny window, so it's like if I can't see it on that, I figure
Anyone else get picture
I need to make it bigger.
Make Assassin's Creed Valhalla feel more like classic Assassin's Creed. Let's get on the real topics here.
Wait, what did you say? I didn't catch that.
Assassin's Creed accuracy.
I'm just enjoying the sidebar here where we've got the Jezebel article about QAnon hit jobs, and then on the side it's all Kotaku. Like, oh, the Age of Calamity review. Cool. I was wondering about that.
Like, is it Jezebel part of like the fake lying, like liberal collusion network to destroy video games?
In the bar up top, so this is good stuff.
I mean, it's all part of the same octopus, Kotaku, Jezebel, they're all part of the same media network, so.
Wait, I didn't know the Onion was part of that. I thought, like, some weirdo Democrat operatives. No, like, there's like the Onion.
Oh, okay, I was wrong.
Up here.
Okay, yeah, they're all like,
I didn't know they were part of that.
Yeah, it's like if Fox News did, like, Tucker Carlson and then also had, like, SNL skits for right-wingers.
It's all the same scabs.
It's like, it's Bumblebee and then, like, Fox News, like, Rudy Giuliani is gonna save our freedom, and then it's Bumblebee. Hey, they're gonna turn trans kids into super soldiers. Like, wait, which one's the joke? I don't know.
Ganon's. I get it now. Okay, sorry, I'm a little slow. Although, fun QAnon fact: there was a Q is like the one that stuck. There's actually like I still don't know like all the deep lore. I just know that there was originally like FBI anon and CIA anon and all these like different anons from different like state departments. But like QAnon's the one that stuck.
Well, it's good to know you slow. I don't use my jab.
That's your name.
Hey, thanks for the sub, Pokey. I think I'm
glad. 20 months stream.
What an absolute fucking cuck! Jesus Christ, shimp lord. 31 months.
What of the
stupid little catchphrase Anna had.
One of the benefits of subscribing to this stream is you get Duke to make fun of you. It's part of the it's part of the package. Thank you for the
streak. Do you even have streak icons? I don't even know.
I'd have to like get those made or something. So I
God.
Do you want to do it? Do you want to do
it? If I had artistic quality, I'd be making my pornographic comic right now.
Yeah, I don't either. I would like actually have like more like subscription icons. I think I have like more slots than whatever. I think they went down because all the subscribers went away from not streaming. So
yeah.
Well, hey, we're gonna get that back.
Yeah, we're getting it back. We're coming back. Build back better.
We're gonna build the stream back better. Like, Duke is so excited about it that his microphone is like, just like, I'm done. I can't do this. It's too much excitement.
We're gonna build this stream and make the subscribers pay for it.
So, America is back, Jack. Listen, fat. I'm gonna nuke South America and, like, I don't know, start a war over Taiwan before China somehow. But America's back, baby.
Yeah, like, so I'll be honest, like, even though this was, like, linked and I put it in here, no one actually read the article, but I think in a bizarre and deeply disturbing turn of events, a proponent of QAnon has been arrested for allegedly shooting and killing a crank legal theorist who was widely known and respected among a certain subset of QAnon supporters, whom she had relied on for bogus legal advice.
Whose feet were those? Whose feet was those going to the
in an effort to regain custody?
Going to the empty gate? Hello, team. Whose feet were those going to the empty gate?
I'm not at liberty to say.
That's your ex-wife?
I don't know who walked by it. Like, there could have been one of two people.
Let's rewind. Back and to the left. Back and to the left. No one cares about the story. It's two idiots that killed each other for something stupid. Go to next caller.
Okay. As long as you drop that line of questioning.
Back to the left.
All right.
Mom's it. Let's go, girls. Did they look at you? Okay. Nope. Okay. Whatever.
So yeah. So in you're an absolute cuck if you voted for Joe Biden news. We don't negotiate with terrorists. Some in the Biden camp warned that the left wing of the Democratic Party is already spoiling the goodwill they built up during the presidential campaign with the flurry of attacks this week on President-elect Joe Biden's early White House appointments. So yeah, sorry if you voted for this loser, you're a cuck and a dipshit, and like we told you he's gonna pull this shit, told you that you have no leverage on him, we told you that you're an absolute child if you believe for a second that you could push him left after he's elected. Like, I told you so.
Motherfucker, if he arrests AOC, I'm busting this bitch out, fucking prison base style. Like, I'm putting him in a team. So let that be on record. Yeah, yeah. NSA, not social security, fucking Secret Service. I'm here. Come get me. I'm busting my girl out. Period. Anyway, I voted for Biden because one, you don't have any choice. You vote on your aesthetics because one, we listen to Cuss Bomb. Do you want to be a pussy or do you not want to be an asshole? I don't want to be an asshole because I'm a college dropout, but I still don't want to be an asshole. So I voted for Biden because Biden, he still got the nigga stamp from Obama. It's fading.
Okay, so I understand that as a black man you had to, as the saying goes.
It's legal. I would go to jail. I can't pass the literacy test without voting for Biden.
To show my solidarity with the many voters who voted, to the many working class voters who voted for Trump, I refuse to vote for Biden. I think that's how we.
As an absolute Chad, I voted for Gloria La Riva. Like, I live in California.
Green Party?
Fuck the Green Party! No, it was on the ballot. Gloria La Riva's on the ballot in California.
Yeah, she's on there in a few states.
Yeah. She's a Marxist-Leninist, not some, like, crystal hippie ding-dong. Who actually has a platform I believe in, so I voted for her.
Nobody told him PSL is actually Trotskyist in nature.
Yeah,
Marxist-Leninist, crystal ding-dongs. What's the real difference here?
I think I'd take a trot over like somebody who like has very vague refuses to say that vaccines are good because it might anger their base. So
I don't
also not that impressed with
in this country. I'm posting about Brazil. They got like 24 fucking parties in a country that resembles a decayed, collapsed America, and they still got 24 fucking real parties.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much important shit with the kayfabe of American elections, as we've been over several times already, that, like, yeah, we have, like, to work, it has to have this, like, two-party thing. We can't have something fun. But, good news is that, Brazil is collapsed America, basically, and we're headed straight for that. So we're probably going to have, like, 27 parties at some point in the probably not too distant future. So please look forward to it.
Maybe
cool because they have like a jungle for maybe a few more years, and you can just like get killed wandering around the street. And it's really the ideal life.
What I was going to say was,
what were you going to say?
I shouldn't have 3 cocktails before I said I was going to say something. Well, it wasn't important. It obviously doesn't matter. What I was going to say is we're doing this kabuki theater shit. We're pretending to be communists, and we're like, oh, well, I voted for a gay PSL player. Like, who cares? You lost!
I mean, like, it doesn't matter. Like,
Biden, baby. Biden. That's right. You want to be with a loser. Don't be careful with a loser.
Yeah, I'm not a loser.
This is the worst thing to do. You lost! Oh, I'm sorry. Let me just congratulate the president-elect, the PSL bitch. Oh, no, she's not. Biden.
Well, I will say this. I did lose because I voted no on Prop 22, and that's pretty much the entire reason I voted was to vote no on 22, and that shit passed because we're all a bunch of dumb cunts.
A real black person in chat, non-binary Brazilian. They speak Portuguese and not Spanish, even though it's the same fucking language. What's up, man? Tell me about them sandwiches, dude. Them sandwiches look gangster. Mail me one of them dishes.
Also, Berserk is non-binary, so I would
I literally
suggest
said
more gender
non-binary.
neutral. This is the second time in the last hour you have used something male gender to refer to Berserk. Just saying.
It's non-binary.
He said Berserk is non-binary, my nigga. What are you talking about?
I mean, they're the vague kind, but just saying. It's a little uncomfortable.
I'm pretty sure I click on their name. It says not they them whatever the fuck 800 in jokes you have for non-binary people.
Berserk is non-binary.
I know that. It's in the profile. Yeah, oh,
God,
Elisa,
I have to deal with Elise and Duke now. Like, oh, we're having fun, we're yucking. Oh, let's move on. Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, Barack Obama compares hip-hop videos to President Trump's level of success. This rap is all about bling, women, and money.
No, Elisa's a Sam Cedar fan like me. She wants to get the fun half. It's been an hour of dumb shit. We gotta hear the fun half where like a Gen X liberal argues with like 3 communists and he's just fighting them like Jackie Chan because they don't have any life experience, so it's just like punch them in the face. It's great. You watch Majority Report. It's great.
I mean, don't worry, Maury. Like, I act smug, but I voted for Obama twice, so we all have regrets.
Yeah, at least knows what's up. She fucking hates me, but I love her.
I was too smart to vote for Obama.
You had that kind of confu. If your psychic awakening was that much, you shouldn't be involved in politics.
You weren't even old enough to vote for Obama. That's why.
Oh, what?
Thrills, yeah.
You don't have to reveal my kung fu secrets.
I was so dumb. I walked downstairs to vote for Obama in Illinois, and I was like, why the fuck did I just wake up to a vote for Obama in Illinois? He's not going to lose in Illinois.
I mean, that's why I didn't vote for Biden. I'm in Alabama. It's like, yeah, this will put him over. This will get him those Alabama votes.
Well, I think there's only 3 states that can't go blue. It's like Mississippi, Alabama, and like Kentucky are the only ones that have a high enough margin to not go blue right now.
I go out, I put my vote in for Biden. On my way out of the polling place, some guy in a MAGA hat and who weighs like 5,000 pounds, like steps out of his NASCAR truck and blows my head off with a shotgun, and then Biden wins.
I just love their fact he didn't even ask you, or you've been living in the state for like your whole life. He just feels the blue aura from you. He just kills you.
Look, I have long hair. He's like, he knows. Even if I didn't vote for Biden, I've got to be put down like a dog.
You got a mullet. You could definitely be a Republican with a mullet.
Well, no, it's not party in the back. It's party all the way around.
He's like, we got hippie boys, and he just goes up to the election official. We got a hippie vote. That don't count. And they just throw it out.
Yeah, the guy from the past. He's like, he thinks I'm gonna put a flower in the barrel of his like fucking breach action.
So yeah, apologies. I was unaware about the drone strikes. I'll educate myself.
Wait, that shit was funny. Obama fans are the funniest shit because he fucking sucks. Like, I don't care what you think about his like violence, of course, the world. You saw him not giving any fucking money.
So
why is Berserk showing me hamburgers? I thought you were gonna show me those overstuffed sandwiches.
I sent these ahead of time. If there's something you want,
I'm sure they cost like 25 cents, and I go to Wendy's and it cost like $4 for this shit. So I'm sure I respect that.
Well, according to requests, to get back to the main topic, here's our bridge topic. So, probably a lot of people watching are aware with the shit with Jeremy Corbyn, where like they just decided to like kick him out of the Labour Party for anti-Semitism for like, of course, like no reason because he's not anti-Semitic. And I think he was like, I think this was from a couple days ago. I think it was like today or yesterday he was reinstated. But yeah, like still like I kind of feel like, I mean, there's a lot of blah blah blah, but he apologized, and I don't know. I think that was the wrong move because, as we know, you don't apologize when you upset the identity LOL-itics discourse.
It makes it way more open though, where it's like, well, he's an anti-Semite. He's so much of a threat to Jews that we got to give him the boot. But like maybe he's not that much of a threat, so we can let him back in, but just make sure he doesn't have any power. It's just open. It's just power politics. It's like if you really think that his very presence in the Labor Party makes labor Jewish people fear for their lives, like he and his gang of jackboots are going to kick in their doors and set fire to their synagogues, you wouldn't have him back in.
Well, yeah, I mean, the whole thing
You make him
was
grovel and kiss your feet, and then you're like, yeah, sure, man, come back.
who cares about non-Sunland? Well, this is what Jeremy Corbyn went through is the British version of what Bernie Sanders went through here. But since Bernie Sanders literally has immediate family members that died in the Holocaust, they know they couldn't go this far, although they certainly tried, especially like the time when someone unfurled a fucking Nazi flag at his rally and like nobody covered that shit. That was really cool.
No, they covered it. They were just like, Nazi flag unfurled
Oh, yeah.
at Sanders rally. It's like, I wonder who did. I guess it was one of his supporters.
Oh no, my favorite when they did like a flash shot of him like waving and tried to make a Nazi salute for like the Washington Post or something.
Yeah, so like, yeah, it's that kind of shit. They're like fucked up anti-Semitic shit, but like but of course, plausibly deniable bullshit. So yeah, like it's just so this is the main topic. I feel like something that a lot of us have been getting better at articulating recently, and something that we all we need to figure out how to handle a little better, is how like liberal identity politics is like this reverse dialectic. It cuts off people's brains to class consciousness. It is like literally a form of false consciousness to those familiar with the term, where rather than understanding your place in the world and your exploitation as a member of the working class, you blame the other, or literally anybody but your capitalist taskmasters and the bourgeoisie. So, and on the right, it's pretty straightforward, right? You just have, hey, like, I sure do hate insert slur here's, and they're just like, haha, yeah, and then oh yeah, like, it's all these immigrants taking my jobs. We all know the classic canards, but it's a lot more deceitful coming from liberals, because they can't be openly racist. So they'll take a lot of good concepts like intersectionality, especially, and twist it to be a thing that puts you at odds with other members of the working class. So while intersectionality theory is about how to relate to other people who don't share the same oppression as you, and understand where your perspective may or may not be welcome to them, and like talking to them and helping them out, and like the liberals have twisted it into this like the oppression Olympics thing, where if you have more oppression points to the other person, then anything you say is right, everything they say is wrong, and if that person ever disagrees with you, just cancel them, get them fired, destroy their friend networks and all that shit. So like, basically
destroy their Mastodon thing.
Destroy their Mastodon instance. Yeah.
Personal.
Yeah. So,
but like, yeah, it's instead of like it being an approach to understand the ways that certain groups are more intensely subjugated under capitalism. Instead of that, it's just skewing the idea of who is doing that subjugation instead of capital.
Exactly. And
well, yeah.
And I think
what's cringe. That's the point. All right, that section's done.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say they made it anti-Semitic instead of when he was just saying like, let's not dismantle everything. That's what made Corbyn so funny, because he didn't even promise anything new outside of more cops. He's like, oh, let's just not dismantle everything. They were like, oh, you anti-Semitic, Jew-hating, racist. And then they actually put up people that were like, oh, let's bomb Palestine.
Has anybody in chat ever eaten brunch?
I had brunch once. It sucked. I went for Father's Day brunch. I was like, it's just shitty, cold breakfast.
The only time I ever went to brunch was with my ex. She's my ex, so I think that's all I need to say about that. Yeah. The only good thing about brunch is when there's unlimited mimosas, but then you throw them up all over, and then everybody makes fun of you forever because you throw it up on eating on having a ton of mimosas. You done throw it up like that.
Breakfast and lunch, isn't it kind of early to start drinking?
No, that's the whole point.
But you do it on the that's the whole point of brunch. You get fucking plastered at like 11 a.m. on a weekend. That's the whole point.
There's like two main in America. Two main alcoholic holiday drinks is the Bloody Mary and Mimosa. So.
But anyway, I do want to address something PokeStick says. So PokeSticks in chat says, identity politics is liberals' method of making liberals feel like the good people without actually ever doing anything to address injustice. So yes, but it goes further than that, because it is also the way it's the liberal version of racism. Since the people who are attracted to liberalism don't have that like raging id where they just hate the other. And there's even like some scientific shit. I don't have any links or anything, so we'll not get into it. But there's some scientific shit about how like certain people have, they are more bothered by the other or things that are foreign to them in some way, like literally, or just like the concept of something that's not familiar to them.
It involves certain slopes on their skull.
Yeah. Of course, most of this research is done by liberals, so yeah, it gets a little. But there's something to it. There are people who tend to, when you have them in this, two-party kind of different flavors of the same shit system, the people who go for the red flavor are the ones who just really hate the other and think that, it's just very easy to stoke like racial and other sorts of bigotry to get them in line with whatever bullshit the bourgeoisie is doing. And then you have the blue team people who you need to go a little more high concept because they don't really hate the other outright. So you have to have this more elaborate system to get them to, basically destroy and fight with each other. That you have to do for right-wing people.
I think Pokey's point was interesting in not the psychology of like why liberal identity politics is useful for capital, but sort of how it propagates. And that there is kind of that good feeling, say I'm a white liberal, maybe I'm a white cishet liberal even. Male or female, whichever one. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, well, I'm the one who does the harm. I'm the one who subjugates black people.
I'm the one who knocks.
And gay people and whatever. And so I'm this base creature. But on the other hand, I've also got the white man's burden now. It's up to me to save them. It's up to me to uplift these poor trodden creatures beneath me up to the position. So you're asserting your power over them. It's like, well, I guess I am a little better than them because I'm the one who's got to help them out here. I've got to give them the helping hand up to where I am.
Well, I gotta disagree because it's a lot of credit to Confederate knuckle draggers who wave around flags in their team sports. So,
Confederate flag's just a good old fashioned Southern fun. Never heard a single person.
I don't see anything wrong with the Confederate flag.
It's not racist.
Yeah, I don't see anything wrong with the Confederate flag. What's offensive about a white flag? I don't get it.
Well, I just think it's funny that we put all this credit into it and you talk to them. As soon as Trump lost, they were fucking peeling off all their decals. They threw away all their flags.
Oh, I'm thinking of liberal. I'm not talking about right-wing identity.
Oh, okay. I was just saying it's just all team sports because were those Hillary was it? I don't even remember her fucking VP was bumper stickers. I was impressed when I saw a bumper sticker in my township of it was like Bush and his VP and they lost. And it was on this fucking old ass car. I was like, that's impressive.
Conservatives get the savage beast, and liberals get the noble savage.
Yeah, I still get to go to my chicken and fish fry place and get the Obama special, even though he's been out of office for 12 years.
Duke, when you go to vote for Biden to save us all, so we go back to brunch, can I rub your hair?
Hell yeah, bro! Biden wins.
Hair just once, please.
Hell yeah, Biden.
And interesting.
Hell yeah, Biden wins. You get a lock of it. Fuck yeah. Build back better, baby. Biden's gonna win. He's gonna be the next FDR. He's gonna be this mummy ass motherfucker. Highway. Ooh, oh, sorry.
And I mean, you're also right, Pokey. Yeah, this does like everything's tied together, of course. But like the whole like the what of Matt Chapo's like things about it's the pussies versus the assholes, and they just want to punish each other. Yeah, that absolutely plays into it. This is part of the mechanism. Yeah, the mechanisms for how it works.
That's not new. That's post-leftism, society of spectacle ass shit. The post-leftism was like, okay, the mass movement did not work. What the fuck just happened? And then I was like, oh, you're just being a dumbass. You just gotta try it again. You're just being a... Yeah, that was the problem. Like, the post-left was literally, okay, we had all these mass movements, we got the majority, and we lost. What the fuck just happened? That was a actual post-left discussion.
Yeah, Sarah, you have to, if you want it, you have to subscribe. So give me those Amazon Prime bucks.
And like Matt Christmas is basically, this is a post-leftist society of spectacle thing. He's basically like, oh, society's just gonna be more, this is spectacle ass shit.
So yeah, so like kind of have some things we've collected over the last few days that are honestly kind of amusing, but I think are also hey, thanks for the subscription, Whale. So like this is like somebody who's like, how dare you call on Black and Indigenous ancestors deities in your witchcraft? Basically, it's like, who are you calling out? Personally, I am extremely woke and made up my own deity. Her name is Bofidis, and she is real, and she is good, and she is my friend. And but like,
it's 2020, and we're still on the D's nuts gags.
It's like religion doesn't go out of style. Whale's interested in a lock, yes. So yeah, like I guess you get stuff like this where it's like, I've peeked around. There's a decent number, especially on the internet, but like how many fucking liberal witches out there? But like I have a little bit of experience with the online witchcraft community, as some of you may be aware, and you have a lot of these weird like lines in the sand with things, and I feel like most people are trying to be respectful. I mean, the bone sellers aside. Especially the ones who, made it all the way to like alternative social media that I interact with. Like everyone's trying to be successful and not like be an appropriative shithead. But it's just like you got to keep feeding the content machine, and like it's like, so yeah, rather than try to like commune with other witches and have like respectful conversations about this and actually solve the issue, like they're probably subtweeting like one person. It's like, why don't you just go talk to them? Like,
okay, well, I'm very afraid I gotta entertain these cranks. So you got anything to say, communist?
I'm still chuckling at the appropriation of Fey self that's on screen right now.
Yeah, which like this one is like, I've seen this isn't the first time I've seen this take either, right? Like, I hate when people, as a pagan, I find it so fucking disrespectful. Which I always think is funny because it's like, sorry it doesn't quite show up on this stream.
I
but
do
I think
like
you get what it
the
says.
extension of the like spiritual appropriation discourse to generally like white crack pottery here.
Like, so like that's kind of the like. Also, like, who the fuck is using like fey self pronouns that like aren't pagan? Like, is this a problem? I don't know. I never like. I mean, the only time I can think of people I've known of who use fey self who might not be pagan, like, I don't know. They're at least adjacent. Is it like, well, what is pagan appropriating? I don't understand.
Isn't pagan just non-Christianity? I'm like, what is fucking pagan?
Well, like, it's a specific belief that predates Christianity. And
yeah, but
it was like the dominant belief system like before Christianity hit the scene. And like Christians hate pagans because that was like the OG like religious missionary battle. But of course pagans are kind of small and marginalized. now. So like, yeah, I don't, but like it's like a lot of white people are pagan, like historically. So I don't know what I don't know like what this I like it reeks of white people who want to feel oppressed shit.
And I'm gonna disagree. I'm gonna say that being named Jesus absolutely is cultural appropriation. It is. It is Zoomer shit.
Yeah.
Zoomers are unhealthy, and hopefully they'll grow out of it. But some people don't. Look at
Yeah,
Anna; she's
I
never
like
grown out
this
of
one.
her Zoomer issues.
I like this person. Boobhammer420 is a great username. Shout out to Nat, and I'll have to go follow him later. But yeah, like John is appropriating Christianity.
Or look at these sort of things and can
Yeah.
still say, the kids are all right. The kids will save us. A, you're wrong. B, you're probably just a groomer.
I say the kids will say it was literally a Gen X thing, and they gave us the millennials.
Wow,
Yeah.
these Zoomers will save us. You're so mature for your age. Are they real or have you had implants?
I say yeah. The next generation will save us. Literally a Gen X myth. So
Well,
they're
like,
supposed to fall on millennials.
I'm hoping that like I don't want this to come off as like super mean spirited and like I definitely of course like don't harass any of these people or anything. Like is like but like I said, this person is kind of talking to the greater point we're trying to make for this episode is like and kind of the idea of cultural appropriation is a specific thing and a specific problem. It's especially things like, we did horrific shit to Native Americans on, say, America, including like the most disgusting genocides you can possibly imagine, and like just god awful shit. But yeah, we think it's funny to do like this, like we still have like famous white women musicians who like go put on like a headdress and do a
Well, hey,
music video like every
I thought you were
year.
disappointed that we destroyed your culture. We're bringing it back. It's a
I said,
reboot. Come on.
I thought Wiccan was like a Romanian gypsy thing.
Wiccan, it's probably the most popular like Wiccan's like really new. It was invented like 1950. It's kind of funny because of popular things
What?
that Wiccans to have.
1950?
Yeah.
That is not a religion. That's a cult. Fuck off.
Oh yeah, no, it's invented by like literally some dude in 1950. And it's kind of funny because yeah, there's a bunch of Wiccans who have like give you some of that old time religion on their bumper sticker. It's like your car isn't like that much newer than the religion. Like fuck off. It's like so yeah, it's like it's
I'm
yeah.
just mad about anything. That'd be great. I got guys that say that they're just eating like soul food or like don't appropriate Wiccan culture.
Yeah, so it's like this is the kind of way it breaks people's brains, right? Like you fucking like as somebody who identifies as a witch, it's like chill the fuck out. Like we're not fucking Christians. We're not
this is your
dogmatic.
biggest nonsense claim yet.
Like well, like we're not fucking Christians. We're not goddamn like dogmatic. At least we shouldn't be. Like who cares? Like, we don't have any power. We don't have a fucking pope with like a ton of valuable child pornography and a huge fuck off castle that's like its own country. Like it's like chill the fuck out, everybody. Yeah. And of course, Sean Moorhead coming in with a great reply. Yeah, I suppose we summon I propose we summon a panel of Black and Indigenous ancestors to educate further discussion.
Yeah, just do like the God Emperor of Mankind, bringing all the indigenous shamans, and they all immediately commit suicide. So you could give birth to God Emperor of Mankind.
Oh, to answer the question, yeah. Sean Moorhead invented the phrase "the cool zone." That's his major claim to fame. Good funny poster overall.
We almost got the cool zone. We had like a fucking 3 months of riots. That's only unprecedented by like the fucking civil rights riots. So yeah.
Oh, yeah. The fuck.
But hey man,
the civil rights movement ended racism, so we know something good's gonna come out of these pretty soon.
I love white people more disappointed than black people on the current state of things. You're like, yeah, what the fuck? You like
Yeah,
to
so
on that bitch with Earth.
this one's funny.
I mean,
Like, go ahead, post another take. Tell me that eating hot dogs is ableist. Say jackpot games don't center bi-POC voices. Accuse a famous person of grooming their younger spouse. Come up with a woke way to say race mixing is wrong. Call me gay for liking dessert.
I love that one thread, that one Twitter thread that's like male celebrities grooming their spouses, and it's like almost all like guys who are like, you know, like 80 and their wife's 70, and then it gets to Woody Allen. Like, this seems like a completely different thing.
Leonardo DiCaprio, and he's dating girls who are richer than him.
You know what? They're all there. I thought it was funny when it's like, oh, there's the threshold, but then I'm like, well, the threshold is over 18, so seems fine to me.
Well, they keep dating him, so they know something's up. So they're like, "Oh, I want to date Leonardo DiCaprio."
Oh, I'll
I feel
date
like,
Leonardo DiCaprio right now. Come on, baby. I'm under 25.
is that from Trailer Park Boys? Or he's pointing the gun? 'Cause I feel like some Trailer Park Boys. I haven't watched it myself, but it looks like it's from it.
Oh, the picture? I don't know. I wouldn't be
That's gotta be
surprised.
from Trailer
I've
Park
only
Boys.
seen a very little amount of
Well,
trailer. It's a lot
that
to get
doesn't look like a
into.
trailer park behind him.
I was wrong. Well, no, I mean, I only watched it. I only watched like the black and white trailer. I just know it's like the guy's like a wino and he never spills his drink, even though they're going to these weird crimes.
So, like, overall, the reason why we're probably like this episode is dedicated to the topic, but I have a feeling it won't be the last one, or I mean, it's certainly going to come up over and over
Dedicated
again.
to the fighters of pedophilia.
But
We're slowly
like,
going to evolve into stupid Paul, except we don't think all trans people are degenerate bourgeoisie.
well, so that's that's part
Just
of
kidding.
this.
I will never do that. I'm nice.
The important thing here, like, the thing is we're all being fucking gaslit by this shit, and like what gaslit means,
Yeah.
because like any good scam, it relies on a kernel of truth, right? You don't want to be bigoted, you don't want to become a stupid pole ding dong that's just like an asshole, like, oh, I'm just a leftist, I'm just a leftist who wants to be like bigoted. So I noticed the frustration, and like I've certainly in myself and like well, can you let me? I don't know what you're even laughing at. I'm being sincere here. I've noticed
You said I am myself. I'm bigoted. That's funny as hell.
No, let me finish my sentence, please. The like I've noticed a frustration that is like in myself and with a lot of people I've talked to, where it's like you realize something's wrong, like you don't want to be bigoted, but this like liberal identity politics shit is like bonkers. And like one of the things that I really like about this tweet is to come up with a woke way to say race mixing is wrong. Like that lays it all out there, because like I've seen those takes. We've all seen those takes where like, oh, like it's cultural appropriation if you're like white and you date a person of color and shit like that. And it's like, are you fucking kidding
I've
me?
usually seen the reverse approach, which is that black men are becoming white when they date white women. Like it's less the problem is even for the white people, and it's more that you're a race traitor coming from the other direction, which is interesting. It's a certain approach.
I don't know if Duke has any thoughts on that. I certainly don't feel super comfortable talking on that.
I would like to hear Duke's thoughts on miscegenation.
Yes.
I guess he did talk about white women with fat asses earlier, so.
Yeah, but I think in that regard, Duke's position is clear. It always has been. But are you here, Duke?
Oh, those mimosas hitting a little different tonight.
Dude, Duke went out to brunch. But yeah, like that's the thing, is that most me when Cal keeps yapping. I'm glad we have Elise's backup Duke in chat. What do we lose?
What? Oh, I'm gonna piss. I knew that shit was gonna take like 10 minutes. What do you want me to say?
Duke, what do you think about miscegenation?
I think it's great. You get these beautiful mixed race women. Look at India. You get the Bollywoods from the mixture of purebred Indians and British absolute mutants, just unacceptable mutants. You get these beautiful Bollywood women. You got the American mix of all the Irish, Spanish, Germans. It's absolute perfect people. Oh, don't even get me into the Asians. Oh man,
We got to figure out which race has the best teeth, ship a bunch of them over to Britain, and get things worked out in a couple generations.
Well, obviously the best mix is what's ALC from? She's fucking. Isn't she Puerto Rican? I forget. Whatever. South America, all South America, just have those go over fuck some white people. You get a perfect, beautiful mix. Just it's like mixing. You mix caramel with salt, or you mix chocolate with vanilla. You just get this perfect swirl. Was that the question? Because that's my answer.
Close enough.
Do you have that Linus Tech Tips tweet about like how great he thinks mixed race babies are, and it just comes.
Oh no, I don't think I follow Linus on Twitter.
Yeah. I don't have the link, but I know what you're talking about. It's pretty cringe. Well, like even for Linus Tech Tip standards. But yeah, the greater discussion, what we are talking about, Duke, is that like a lot, like Thrills had brought up about, like, I think right when you went to go pee, that like there's a lot of takes that like it's problematic for like black men to date anyone that isn't a black woman, more or less, like, you know, dating white women, things like that. Is so yeah.
OTEP and KKK, one struggle. Fuck it.
But so like, so yeah, like it's racism, like all, like, especially when it's coming from like this shit basically that's down to that race mixing is wrong. It's always fucking racism. The like miscegnation owns, it's good, and any sort of like thinking system or reverse dialectic that tells you that leads you to the conclusion that it's wrong, you're dealing with some poison fucking bullshit.
Yeah, at least saw the banned episodes of Black Dynamite where the KKK and the Black Panthers want to prevent the first interracial pornography ever produced. Great episode.
I'll have to go see if I can find that one. That sounds.
Oh yeah, excellent episode.
Yeah, bad news about Brazil.
Brazil is bad. It's Portuguese colonialism.
Yeah, Brazil is just what if America was in the future?
Look, the Brazilians have to stop speaking the colonizer language Portuguese and go back to their indigenous languages like Spanish.
See, America's too pussy to just go full tropical and just arrest the guy who's gonna win and just put him in jail and doesn't count. Imagine Biden was just in jail because they arrested. The only person America really arrested was like Debs because he was gonna win. He was like, "Oh, war is dumb and stupid," and then they're like, "Oh no, you go to jail for that. That's illegal." I'm trying to imagine Biden like he's just in the stripe. Well, I guess it's the orange jumpsuit now. He's like, "Listen here, Jack. I don't care that fucking Trump put me in this federal prison. What's important is I'm still a candidate."
Yeah, like the.
I'm not sure if in the United States, I guess you get DQ because I know Debs he was on the ballot, so I guess you get DQ'd if you go to federal prison.
So like this is also a discourse I've seen crop up like from like both directions, because again, when you have a reverse dialect, you can't be consistent. You don't make any fucking sense. So like I've heard all these people talk about how it's like busy few days. I haven't had time to go see if I can actually find any of them. Sorry, but I'm sure most of us have seen the takes like, oh, like if you put that you're like white or cis in your bio, like you're just like lording your privilege over other people. But then you get takes like this where, oh, if you're white, put that in your bio, and it's just like,
okay, nice try, CIA.
Yeah, like it's just
well, at that point you've got to see, okay, is this now a Picru Abbey or a Groiper Abbey? Because they both just got white.
It's always been a counter argument. Like, this is the same argument. It's just, fuck it, one struggle.
Keeps. That's right. I'm on Windows, so I have to like click the window to change. That's why I keep doing weird shit. But thankfully, y'all can't see that. So like, yeah, like this is a slightly better take. I'll be honest. Like, because I will say, as somebody who has struggled with how to like, you know, I said I don't want to like come off as avoiding the question of whether or not I'm white or not online, right?
Anyone who
I
sees your
think
post
Wait,
that's
you're not
fair.
white
realizes.
online?
So like,
You're not
yeah,
white?
and I don't want to like leave ambiguity on purpose so that people think that like, you know, I'm, you know, might be a person of color or whatever. So you know, like I try to do this, but like it's still like these weird absolutes. Where it's like, oh, you have to do it this way, you have to do it that way. It does. Like, none of this shit makes sense in all circumstances. And usually these people are like subtweeting like one person, but like it's like so like, yeah, this take isn't like super terrible. I don't even say it's like terrible, but like it also kind of um it's also kind of one of
Well,
those
I
ones where
don't
it's a
see
little
indigenous. I don't see indigenous in that bio, so we got a little hypocrisy here.
yeah, like it's it's just but it's still like oh, but it also like it's not a terrible take, but it's not a great take either because a lot of it's like oh, like you can't use like everything is cultural appropriation. You can't use anything that you know if you're white and you draw anything but like pictures of like gruel and grits and like actually no wait no grits is like a black person thing, I suppose, for some reason, which isn't racist to assume that certain foods are like black people foods or anything like that. You know, it isn't like reverse dialectic leads you to saying shit like that.
White people grazed on the plains until they invented slavery, at which point they learned how to eat food.
Yeah, well, like I mean, you've seen British food. I don't know the white people ever figured out how to eat food. Like,
What is it, beans?
fuck, I'm white. I live in California. I eat the whitest food
You
I
do
eat is
like
like
beans.
yeah, I do like beans. Yeah, I like my favorite foods are like Mexican foods, or more accurately Tex-Mex usually, but still, you know, Mexican foods. You know, you like burgers, like you know, pizzas. You know, the most Italian thing and the most ethnic thing possible, of course, is pizza.
Have you ever noticed how most European foods are just something involving blood? What is it with British people and the consumption of blood in all
Yeah,
forms?
it's fucking weird. Which weird trivia is that like um Mormons have a weird thing about it, and I wonder if that was because some of early Mormon missionary work. And a weird thing about it, I mean, about like, oh, you should never like drink blood. It's like some weird like blood atonement shit. And I wonder if
I
that
mean,
has
I
to do with
agree,
some.
not on religious principles, just in general.
Yeah, but yeah, it's yeah, they have these like weird blood atonement doctrines. They don't really talk about much anymore. But
Wait. You talking about
like I
Space
feel
Marine?
like I'm talking about Mormons. But
Oh,
the
never mind. I was about to go off. I'm about to say, wait a minute. There's actually a very logical reason for that.
but yeah, like I do wonder if some of that's because like the first like missionaries they sent outside of the U.S. were to like England, and they're like, this is disgusting. Like, how about we make it bad to drink animal blood? So
I wish
That's
they'd
I
done
dumb.
don't
better.
know.
I think
Anyway,
holy shit.
let's talk about Space Marines. See, one of the original chaplains from the Blood Angel successor chapters was disgusted by the bloodening. See, the Blood Angels have a genetic flaw where they have to consume the blood of a certain number of mortals. What this chapter concluded was, well, we just have to get a certain number of mortals, render them like through a food processor, and drink them. Of course, they found it unacceptable for some reason, and they got chastised for it. That's what I thought you guys were talking about.
As soon as I heard, I'll be honest, I didn't hear any of those words because as soon as anybody says Warhammer, it's just like I don't care.
Please.
Elise mentions Bright, and I thought it was interesting how
See, Bright,
they've
cool
got the
movie.
they've got
Elite.
the fantasy races, and they've got the actual human races that are counterparts. So it's like
Yeah.
orcs are supposed to be black people, but there's also black people, and racism still exists in this world, but they just do the same shit to orcs. But so you've got orcs, and they're black people, and then you
Yeah.
have the elves. And like, I don't think they're supposed to be like maybe they were supposed to be white people, but they're like not all over the place. They're like this specific sort of shady upper class that owns all the money and all the government
Huh.
agencies, and they drink blood. And like, oh,
Huh. Huh.
okay, I see.
Well, I love the
My
misdirection is on
God.
like how important it is to have a wand, but all the wand does is make you not explode.
I
So
like the whole magic thing. It just feels shoehorned in because they were like, well, I mean, we got to do something to replace all these sequences we took out where the elves are like sucking the foreskins off of babies. Like, those are a little much.
yeah, like I haven't seen that movie. Yeah, like,
Don't.
is it? Yeah, I was gonna ask, is it like bad enough to like enjoy because it's terrible? But it just mostly seems like a
Yeah,
waste
I
of
mean
time.
It
I mean,
blows. It's watchable.
it's good because it has Will Smith in it, so you know. Oh hell no!
Yeah, he goes, fairy lives don't matter today, and he crushes a fairy with a broom.
Oh, I've seen that in the trailer. It's like, are you fucking kidding me?
It is pretty cool to just have like a race of like they just don't care about smaller versions of themselves. I guess they're just a pest. I guess.
And I love the orcs that they're like, oh, it's black people. And this way, if we make black people something else, you recognize that racism is actually bad. But then the orcs just do these like horrible like blood gang rituals where like to get in, they're making their like children murder people. Like, oh, you got to kill him to get in to get your blood, and like that's still getting his blood or whatever it's called is the goal of the main orc character. So it's like, oh, they're all violent, brutal thugs.
And yeah, it also
I'm
doesn't help
learning.
that.
I see you. I hear you.
Well, it doesn't also help that, you know, the main character is also black, of course. And then you just like, what's the analogy here? I'm confused.
They're like, we will not be listening to no orc music. It's like, yeah, man, this is good. this is this is subtle, carefully considered writing, and I'm learning a lot about racism through this.
I love the Max guy was like, this come by my Magnus Opus, or whatever the fuck he said.
It's going to be his like Citizen Kane or something,
And then he did like,
or no,
and
his
then he did,
Star Wars.
and then he did like 8 appearances on like a joke show on the internet, like Red Letter Media. Like, why would I take you seriously when you did like a fucking a online series about like 30-year-olds complaining about movies? What do you?
You know, if we all fuck enough people outside our race, racism will end.
And then there's like a reason. I was like, oh, there was a war. It's basically like the Germans came back from World War II, and then everyone's mad. I'm like, oh yeah, they sided with the Dark Lord or something.
But the elves, with their control over the media, actually tricked us into believing that them and their long hook noses.
Yeah, well, he libs out by the like really hard by the third tweet. But yeah, it was cringe. So like,
yeah, it's just stick to the fucking graphics card. Why don't you decide they want to reach outside their realm?
Isn't he supposed to like be holding a blanket and telling me about the true meaning of Christmas?
well, like that's also that like it's kind of not exactly. I think he like his wife even is like an employee of Linus Media Group. Oh my god, it's kind of unclear. Like, but like, yeah, his wife like regularly appears on the stream. He's on the stream on like his like YouTube channel. He's even because he's had a couple of like dad tech kind of episodes where like he shows his kids using this or that. So, yeah,
saying racism is bad is not living out. Saying racism is something where you just need to have sex until it goes away because it's really, really stupid is at best it's a fairly stunted idea of what racism
yeah, and
is.
living out, and living
we'll
out is also when you say that the sharing kindness that's gonna fix it all.
Does he at least have a mixed race wife? He's got
he has his wife is she's Asian. I don't know like what.
Yeah, okay, that's why.
I like to imagine he's in the delivery room. It's like, let's see it, and the baby's just like pure white, got all his genes. He's just punching the hole through the wall.
Comes out with that PlayStation controller. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why he knows that kung fu is strong. The kid's just punching the coals with no flinching. Just bam! I knew it.
Although speaking of PlayStation controllers, you playing PlayStation is cultural appropriation since that's made by a Japanese company. So, you know. Also, anime. Just yeah, you can't enjoy anime if you're white. So don't.
Like that that one Twitter guy who's like he's just the white guy who's like, well, actually, Imperial Japan was good and they didn't rape Korean women. It's like he's invented his own identity. It's like the old Ian Miles Chong thing where he's like, yeah, I'm a banana, I'm white on the inside. It's well, what if you did that in reverse?
Yeah, Berserk, absolutely. Like, Brazil is extremely mixed, and as they're saying, like, still a lot of racism and yeah, like, and we definitely see that here in the U.S. as well. Like, I've known people who are mixed race and have complicated feelings, to say the least, about the part of them that, especially if they're white and something else, have very complicated feelings about the part that is not white, or some so a race that people are particularly racist toward. And yeah, it's sad, and that's kind of the dark side of even these kind of takes that try to be positive. Is like it really glosses over a lot of that and doesn't really. I mean, what is some like white Canadian gonna do? Like, oh wow, he has an Asian wife. Like, he's not gonna do shit. Just needs to make the videos about the graphics cards or whatever, and like not talk about this stuff ever, because like he doesn't have anything to add to the conversation.
Yeah, Pokey, if we get to that point, we're finally going to get around to making astrology proper racism. So when, it's somebody on Twitter being like, well, Scorpios, they can all be put in the gulag or whatever. That's just actual policy.
And yeah, so like I mentioned with like Linus Tech Tips and such, and is all this like there's kind of a common thread to like all of these examples, and that gets into this one, which is a bit different, is that like none of the like all of this liberal understanding of racism is I like to use the phrase reverse dialectic. Sorry, that sounds like a stuffy asshole word, so I'll try to be a little more specific. And that it's a type of analysis that just leads to wrong conclusions. And like you kind of jump to this isolated conclusion that racism is bad, so you try to justify why, how you should behave or not behave in this like isolated situation. But then they extrapolate this out to other situations where it doesn't make any sense, and you could also become extremely racist, as we've seen in some of these. And it's a terrible framework for actually understanding racism and, well, any bigotry. We're talking about racism a lot because that's the examples that we've had. But like this also applies to homophobia, transphobia. No, well, he wants dinner. So like in this, right? So where I'm going with this is there's that executive order where you can't teach like critical race theory and all that shit. And so like Stanford actually put out this from the human resources department that they you can't say that one race or sex is imperially superior, but you also can't say the United States is fundamentally racist or sexist. An individual is white men uniformly have an unconscious bias against it. Like, you can't say stuff like this. And it's just like, it's really like just goofball shit. So of course a lot of this is contrived to comply with the executive order. I mean, the first problem is they didn't just say like who cares and ignore it, because what are they gonna fucking do? Like Trump isn't gonna follow through on anything. So it almost seems like Stanford is kind of jonesing for an excuse, if you ask me. But there's like, all of this, like even some of this like college level shit that's supposed to be like super smart and like have like scholars on the subject. A lot of it is based off of this reverse dialect framing of racism and sexism and bigotry that doesn't really fundamentally address what the issues are, and so it leaves itself open to attack by like Trump getting mad about critical race theory because some teen made fun of him on TikTok or what. I don't remember what it was.
Well,
Like,
the specific thing there, about how you can't say systemic racism exists at Stanford, and it seems at first like an extension of like a weird direction to take the you can't say America is, because that's not included directly in there. But then I recalled back in September, when the Trump administration said this week that it was investigating whether Princeton has violated federal civil rights law, suggesting that a public expression of contrition for its history of systemic racism at the university was an acknowledgement of illegal behavior. So, because I'm not sure if it was through uh, programs or like direct announcement by campus officials or whatever, but they did the thing where it's like, yes, if systemic racism exists at Princeton as it does in every area of America, that general sort of thing. So the Trump administration says, "Oh, well, if Princeton is systemically racist, that means it violates um, civil rights law in how it's performing, and that's illegal." So they did. Had an investigation thing through the Justice Department. You admitted Princeton's educational program is and for decades has been racist, federal officials wrote in a letter to the school on Wednesday. Investigation is the latest escalation in the administration's campaign against the Ivy League for its policies on matters of race. I just find that specific one interesting because it feels like it's against that specific gotcha by the Trump administration of, oh, well, you said you're racist? Well, you know what we do about racist schools.
yeah, like, so, like you said, even just kind of guessing off the cuff was like, oh, obviously they have an ulterior motive here. Well, there you go. Like, you can always read through this shit if you pay just a little bit of attention, and yeah, it's like this is what happens when you reverse the dialect, and there's a reason why there is such an attempt to do this. There's a reason why there is like all this attempt, like there's a lot of money and like institutional power in a lot of these like half-baked like takes that don't actually address racism in any meaningful way. And you see, and it's all a part of the greater neoliberal project to snuff out class consciousness in any form. And this and where this kind of bleeds into the greater point is that we're trying to make here tonight is that there is this kind of this I wrote it down as the attempt to create a mythical working class. And let's see, I think I have an example here of this in particular. God damn it. Fucking Windows does not work like a real OS works. Like, okay. So, the, like, this is a heavy topic, and I hope Duke hasn't totally checked out by now, because I'm hoping he could talk about it a little bit. But there's this, and do we have that other one that's like? Sorry, give me a second. There's one I really want to use. What's in here?
Is it the three?
Okay, yeah. The I think here we go. So like the we have like this, and there's another really. I think that like. Sorry, make sure I thread this correctly. There's a different one, but we'll run with this. There's a lot of attempts to snuff out class consciousness. But there's another take, I don't know where it went, that it was something like, like, if you're saying that anybody who sells their wages is working class, and like that, the reason why you have people making garbage takes like that, and like this one I have on screen here, is that like that's the point of the neoliberal project, is to make everybody think that they're this special atomized group that has no relation with any other members of the working class. And there's even a lot of like leftists and like people who identify as communists who play into this, where they they try to like narrow the working class to like industrial workers and shit that doesn't exist. Like people who work retail, like they aren't members of the real working class or whatever. Just really like pig-headed shit. And the like that's the point of all of these reverse dialectics, all of this like shit that they're doing to like why there's so much effort and all these fucking like some of these have to be psyops and COINTELPRO shit is because it keeps people distracted and arguing on these false premises and trying to argue all these like individual edge cases where some blanket statement based off of one subtweet doesn't apply, and like the whole stupid argument about is watching anime cultural appropriation and shit like that. And there's a reason for it. It's not just libs are stupid, and there are some people who are a little like they're a little gullible. I try not to say stupid and all that too much, because that's also like a liberal thing. There isn't like stupidity isn't real. Like smart isn't real. But some people are just kind of gullible, or like, and that's not even a bad thing. Like they have a good heart and they want to do the right thing. So they hear somebody telling them, "Oh, here's the rules," but they're being fed nonsense and not taught how to actually they're not being taught what cultural appropriation is by like a 6,000 reblog Tumblr thread about white people watching anime being cultural appropriation. Like it's just like even like responding to that is just like like the entire premise is flawed. Like why like it doesn't need specific response or debunking. So that's the point of the project. It's to make us argue about this stupid shit. And the thing that I want to equip everybody with by talking about this, and we have a podcast, and trying to help with class consciousness. This is what we're trying to put out there: is how do you think about this? How do you understand these bad takes? And like, how do you not? There's doggy. How do you not like lose your mind like being exposed to this constantly, and understand where it's coming from and why, and how to address it, how to feel yourself? Because I mean, I've especially I still like kind of I've definitely felt bullied at times by some of these takes, because it's like, oh, like I have to feel bad about this because my privilege and such, and like in some respects I should, but it's like, oh, there's this new rule that I didn't know because I
I've
was
always
too
thought
like
that privilege discourse kind of it has that individualization of struggle issue akin to this right here, in that instead of this should be the basic standards of how everyone is treated and respected. Instead of that, it's this is a problem that needs to be taken away. And like, oh, these people aren't beaten by cops. That's the problem, and not, oh no, it's that other people are, which is how you get the occasional take where it's like, oh my God, thank goodness it was a black cop shooting a white guy this time, and it's sincere because it's an understanding of privilege as something that needs to be removed rather than just the proper state by which everybody would be treated in a functional society.
And exactly, like there was a big story that made national news a few years ago near where I live, where there was a white man who was beaten to death by cops because a local bar didn't like him hanging around. Like he's mentally ill, but he's like this nice guy that people liked. But they beat the shit out of him and killed him, and he was white, and that was tragic and sad. And yeah, usually the person in question is black, but police brutality is police brutality, and it's a problem. It's an overall problem, and it's not. It's obviously more of a problem, but yeah, you get like I said, it's not bad to focus on violence against black people, like by any means, but it's also being so focused on it that suddenly you're like shutting down people talking about, yeah, like saying, oh, it's good that it was a black cop killing a white person this time. Like, that's fucked up. Like, it's not good when cops kill people. Like, it's
It
just
goes
not.
back to the usefulness of intersectionality, which is how the oppression of certain groups is compounded under capitalism, and not it's not useful when it's these different issues are totally isolated. They're unique to groups. Like here, it's like in a proper understanding, we recognize we have chattel slavery and we have wage slavery. And obviously, one of these is in practice, it's significantly worse. It's compounded on a certain group, but they're both still bad. They're both subjugation under capitalism. It's just that it's performed in a different way in a certain thing. But the incorrect approach to take to this is to say, oh, these are completely separate issues. They're not related at all. And that's how you get, well, okay, well, this exists. So this other unrelated thing, we set that to the side and we look, oh, slavery happened. Well, we haven't gotten anywhere because we haven't recognized that slavery, chattel slavery, outside of prison is gone, but everybody's still under wage slavery. It's not a separate issue, it's an ongoing issue.
I say, as Duke, are you still around, or you, Duke? Hello. I was hoping Duke would be up to provide some thoughts for this section because, like, I'm white. And I'm trying to work out some thoughts on this, but they're not going to be that useful coming from me. But and that's what I'll just say, like, what I'm trying to
Stand up for yourself, white woman.
yeah, I'll just like what I'm trying. I'll just go over what I'm trying to reconcile. I'm not saying anything definitive here. Where I'm trying to reconcile that I do see the point that like chattel slavery is so fucking bad that like it's almost disingenuous. Like the phrase wage slavery is almost disingenuous because it's bad, but like not, at least, as wage slaves we have some autonomy and we have like, like it's obviously much better, but it still sucks shit. It's still exploitation. Yeah, basically and rather than being fully owned, it's a situation where we're more rented to we rent ourselves out in a way to the the ruling class or the bourgeoisie, and so yeah, that's a better deal. We have some autonomy. Most of it's kind of illusory, but we have free time. You can play video games. You can't be forced to do like horrible things like kill each other for sport. Like that think a lot of us have seen with certain Quentin Tarantino movies. So yeah, I don't know the answer to this one. I'm still thinking about it. I'm looking for perspectives that are able to discuss this better. I was hoping Duke could help, but I think I don't know where
My
Duke went.
perspective as a black Italian, which allows me to talk about this, is it reminds me a little bit of we had Martin Luther King and he gave a speech. Now racism is over. It's like, well, black people are no longer, in chain gangs being whipped out in the cotton fields. Now they're in wage slavery with the rest of us. And you have to understand that not as now two unique situations, but a continuation in a different form and obviously a different degree of an existing system. When you start isolating, it's like, oh, well, that was a different problem. Then that problem is over. So we can look at now. Oh, we've got Oprah, we've got Whoopi Goldberg or whatever, we're up. Well, no, we're not up. We have wage slavery, and if you're like, oh, well, wage slavery, oh, that's not it's not bad enough to be called wage slavery. Wage something else. It's just trying to hand wave away terms to make things seem less bad than they are. It's like, oh, we're past everything. No, we're not past everything. We're still in everything.
And yeah, so that's where I'm still trying to reconcile, because I think just being like, oh well, like it's so bad we can never say slavery for anything again, even when it is just a different form. So yeah, thank you for. Actually, let's make it bigger. If I don't randomly press F12.
Can you
Yeah,
not
I made it
hold
bigger.
control mouse scroll? Just zoom in like a normal person, or does
Well,
your operating system not
it's a
let you?
Discord embed, so like it has that. You know, a lot of times they'll put like the size and like HTTP parameters. Oh, it's this person. I see the avatar. This person's total like fucking psyop. That's a whole other thing.
Yeah, this
But
isn't. This is not, of course, for the record, since people can't see the details. This is not a critique of wage slavery as a concept from within the left. If that wasn't obvious in the text, that's a Biden Harris mask that this person has on in their
yeah,
avatar there.
yeah. Like, there was some discussion about this person because I started looking at their profile. And yeah, they're probably on the Alphabet Soup payroll. But
I mean, because you chose to take on student loan debt. I mean,
yeah,
right up front, it's like, oh, okay, it's a personal choice. It's a goofus, shall we say?
yeah, like as Matt Chapa says, it's if you want to be on the Don't Be a Pussy team, you pretty much have to have a college education. So if you're out here wearing a Biden Harris mask, it's not really a choice, is it, Karen? So like it's see exactly like none of this is put in any fucking context for these people. Like that's the
Working class
problem.
is when you have a big hammer and you drive railroad stakes into the ground or something.
Exactly, that's my big point. Like don't fall into the trap. Like nobody should fall into the trap of thinking that working class is like a specific kind of hard labor, like factory labor that barely exists in the United States anymore. Um, even if we're in an air-conditioned office all day, a lot of us are still doing menial shit that destroys our bodies. We're getting paid way less than we're making for the company. A lot of us are still having I kind of regret now not having that graph up, but I've seen it around for a few years now where they show like the vast majority of like crime and larceny and shit like that goes on is all wage theft. It's like overtime violations and just this stealing money from workers that they earned by working, and then even that is still having most of their surplus labor taken from them. Like I've heard that I think someone looked at like the retail sector and saw like how much they profited versus how many employees they have and hours they work and such, and kind of figured out that on average, like somebody who works like Walmart, Target, thing, any like big box retail store, they make $80 an hour for the company, and like as they're sitting here squibbling about whether or not like they by now pretty much unlivable $15 an hour is too much to give these people who are making like, tons of money for like Walmart, Target, all these asshole stores. So yeah, like people should be paid like at least like $60 an hour to work retail, but they're not. And then they're being forced to work overtime off the clock and shit like that. And dicked around. Like I know when I had retail jobs, they would schedule me like 2 or 3 hours like most days, so I couldn't do anything with my life, but I wasn't getting paid any real money. Yeah, if you have to fucking show up to work and do shit you don't want to do, you're working class. If you're selling your wage for money, you're working class. And yeah, like I got into programming that tends to make good money, and I feel lucky that I'm able to do that. Of course, I have the particular problem is that people don't like loudmouth trans women too long, and they eventually find some excuse to get rid of me. But that's a whole other thing. It's so yeah. But when I do have things, I try to share it because it's I know a lot of people who need help and a leg up. So I try to do that. I don't want to be rich. I just want to help my friends. And that's
I think to some degree, the some of the sillier discourse about what type of jobs and roles are actual working class and which ones aren't comes from not like a stupid Paul itself, but sort of a stupid Paul esque mindset where it's a sort of and I think you can see that it in a recent In Miles Chong tweet where he's talking about who's really a worker or not inexplicably from his house in Malaysia. Um, but it's a sort of like mental marriage of certain types of jobs, certain types of education, and certain perceptions on ideology. Or I think, you think college education, you think, you think liberals, you think liberal identity politics. I think some like girl with like thick frame glasses and blue hair who's like lecturing me with like in what I imagine is a Tumblr thread about Steven Universe or whatever. And it's like a person who I've made up entirely in my mind, but I conceive of college education as that. And so I think of jobs that aren't hard labor and like shit. What do you call the schools where you go and you learn how to weld or fix cars or
Oh,
whatever?
trade schools?
Specific. Yeah, yeah, whatever's not trade school, I think about, all this other stuff, and, like, I associate it with what I don't like with my conception of ideology that doesn't put workers and class first, or if I'm the mythical class reductionist, doesn't put class ahead in full replacement of all other concepts. In replacement of the bourgeoisie, the mentally ill trans, and the flamboyant homosexual, and all that. So I become like, oh well, this job isn't working class because the people who are into it voted for Joe Biden, and I don't like that. The working class is when it's some really buff white guy who says slurs with me and will let me say the N word around him without hitting me.
And well, I think Zarin also brings up a good point about the professional managerial class, and I think that's one of again to circle back to Matt Chapo. For those of you unfamiliar, he talks sometimes about the was it the lumpen bourgeoisie, which is a more recent phenomenon where you have people who have these like PMC kind of jobs and they're workers, but they said they get paid a little bit more. They're in the nice air conditioned office. They're not doing real work. They're answering emails and telling other people what to do, or like they're JavaScript monkeys, like me. Like that could arguably be PMC, but it's all still workers and working class. Just like it's it's just where they, like get a little bigger, you get bigger crumbs than
The
yeah.
trick is you have a cutoff, and if you make over that amount of money, you're no longer working class, I believe is what Marx said. I don't know. I've never read him, but I always got that vibe.
Exactly. But see, that's the problem with again the reverse dialectic and these fucking psyops like critical thinking as a cop here, is that I feel like that name is very naked. I don't know if it's supposed to be ironic or not, but I feel like critical thinking is just a way of basically saying dialectical thinking and trying to like the whole point of her account seems to be to try to dissuade you from doing that. And
It's why I think the other tweet is more useful for this example because it is somebody who appears to be genuinely responding.
Which one? This one?
Yeah. Complaining about.
Well, it's like source, and it's like the grifter and the mark here. Like this is the person who believes the thing they've heard from people like them, and like that's the whole point, right? Is that with this and the reverse dialectical thinking is exactly like Thrills a sarcastic example. Oh, if you make six figures, then you're not working class anymore. Oh, if you're in an air conditioned office, you're not working class anymore. I mean, it's all takes that I've heard. And it's if you're sitting down, it's like you're working class if you don't own the means of production, if other people aren't making money for you. And like I even have some issues with the thing with like the IWW, I think it is that you can't be in a job where you are responsible for hiring and firing people because then you're management. And it's like, and like that makes sense from kind of a classic union standpoint. But like I said, the PMC is also now, they said the kind of this like, lumpen bourgeoisie situation where they're not, is they're kind of they're still working class in their own way, but they're not activated. They're not, and they're not in control. But they're also like they're still. Oh, does the bourgeoisie technically include? Maybe calling them the lumpen bourgeoisie is the wrong word, because even so, you have a nice six-fig manager job, and you're hiring and firing people. Like you're still usually not the person in charge. So that kind of like low level, like God talking to people and dealing with them begging for a job is like beneath the people who actually run shit. They just pick the prettiest faces out of Executive Magazine to get their VPs, and then they just all cascades down from there. Eventually, they hire an HR department that does all this messy work for them. They get the real sickos for that one. But yeah, it's so even that I feel like that's a little bit of a misdirection. I'm a JavaScript code monkey basically, but I've had situations where I sat in on an interview because it's like they're basically a new coworker. Since it's a technical thing, it helps to sometimes have one of the coders there. Do they know what they're talking about? Like I have input, but does it matter if I choose or not? I mean, I'm still not making manager money. I'm still not the manager. So that's the thing, is if you get too fixated on these particular signifiers, what we're really going with this is it doesn't work. It's like, are you selling your labor for money? Even if it's a lot of money, you're still a worker. If you own means of production, if other people are making money for you, you are not a worker. That's all it is. And anything more than that complicates things. Even, and I know some people like to hear this, but even like professional sports players, the vast majority of them are workers. They make a shit ton of money. So, I mean, some of the low-rung people in the NFL get pretty fucked, but that's a whole other topic.
Where do you cut off the line? Most professional athletes.
Which ones of them
no longer workers?
Well, where I hedged what I'm saying is that I'm also thinking of the people who do get enough money from their NFL and sponsorship deals to kind of be they turn that's enough money that it turns them into but it's the thing, it's usually not through the sports themselves, right? Like even if you're doing a sponsorship deal, you're getting paid to use your image. So but a lot of them then turn around and become bourgeoisie and start they start owning businesses and things like that, or investing heavily to where they own things, and those things making more money, or having higher value, to be more specific, makes them money. At that point, they're no longer working class. But while as far as even if they're collecting 7-8 figure salaries from the NFL or any professional sports team, it's still their that's still I think I've heard the phrase labor aristocracy thrown around, but they're still labor. They're still they're there because they do the football man's good. They're not there because they own the team. They're not there because they get a percentage of tickets sold. Maybe some have that in their contract. I don't know, but it's in their contract. They still don't own it. It's still these rich titan of industry fucks, the Kraft Foods family is they own a shit ton of professional sports teams. I know that they also own several Overwatch League teams. It's just a rich person thing to do. You own a team. They don't even expect that shit to make money. It's just really cool to own a team. That's what you do when you have billions of dollars.
The athletes who really get fucked are college football players, where you get all of the CTE, but none of the money. They will go out of their way to avoid you getting paid. Isn't that the reason why the NCAA games stopped being published a number of years ago? Was because payments were going to have to go out to players who got at least the ones who got front of the box placement, and that was a hard no for the NCAA, because that would set a precedent for paying players for their images, which they refuse to do.
Yeah, it's the college football stuff is just absolutely sick, and it's
a nightmare.
And foot, even just NFL is so bad that even though these people are making millions of dollars, it's arguably still just horrifically exploitative, and they refuse to update the game so that people don't get CTEs and shit like that. And
they don't let you spike the ball or cheer when you get a touchdown. Come on, let them have some fun before they're at the age of 30, having to have some guy lead them around for half of their earnings because they're barely conscious.
Yeah, and then they're barely conscious. The only thing that works is their like the rage part of their brain. So, some poor woman they ended up married gets abused regularly. Like like this shit actually happens. Like people get a lot of concussions. They get violent, and that's why there are so many like domestic abuse scandals with like NFL players and shit like that. It's not just toxic masculinity or whatever. It's literal brain damage from playing NFL that like it just I can't speak for how much control of their faculties they have, but it's like when Biden's on the bad medicine and he gets super mad. It's just like there seems to be a lack of control there. What?
Have you seen O.J. Simpson's videos? You know there's something going on.
Yeah, like I haven't actually seen a lot of O.J. Simpson, but I can imagine with what happened. There's probably something going on there.
I'm not gonna make any judgments on that front.
Yeah, I do hope Duke's okay. I'm assuming he hit the bottle hard again, but yeah. So that's kind of getting to an interesting place with this, but this is all part of understanding. Most of this stuff is made like there's a pattern I've been noticing a lot with like everything in general and everything that has to do with politics is they pay a lot of people, they pay a lot of pundits to basically do reverse dialectics. Like how many pundits do our dear viewers know like that they've seen repeatedly show up who just sprout nonsense years on end of just like not a single one of their predictions coming true, but they keep coming back on. They make New York Times bestseller lists and with a bunch of wrong bullshit, and then they also like get all these columns and all these the Atlantic and shit like that. There's just like complete like oatmeal brain shit, but the reason why they keep doing this is because it is all an attempt to sound like it's also like there's two things for it, right? Part of it is to create this illusion that there's there's all these really smart people who have all these fancy degrees and they're experts in this, and look how complicated this and inscrutable this is. So your tiny like pea brain as a working class American, although let's not tell you that you're working class. You'll never possibly understand it. Just trust the experts. And then the other part of it is for the people who are like, okay, let's engage with this. I have a fancy college degree and or see through the scam enough to actually parse what they're saying. It's there's also a lot of this is the people who make it to the top of this, besides being dynastic generally, is also that they're able to make particular takes that they're able to make particular takes that appeal to this like intelligentsia or whatever you want to call it, that like confuse the subject and kind of like the Gish Gallop, and that's where you like just throw a bunch of shit at the wall so that you can't possibly address it all, and just make this utter nonsense that's like it's hard to dismantle because it's just such fucking nonsense, but it becomes the discourse. And that's the point of these projects, because ultimately, if you don't know what dialectics are, that's fine, nobody does. But dialectical thinking is ultimately where you take this stuff, you simplify it, you look at like its contradictions in a philosophical point, you basically look at what the contradictions are and you resolve them, you synthesize them. What is the thing and the opposite of the thing, and you synthesize them.
Would you like to explain off of this what you've meant the several times you've said reverse dialectics?
And the reverse dialectics is intentionally confusing that, ignoring the contradictions, ignoring the. I'll admit, I'll make a note to myself to like actually
really
look up some smarter people.
Or just not dialectics?
It's not dialectic, but there's also some specific stuff where you're intentionally muddying the waters, and like I said, some of this pundit shit is reverse dialectics, where you're intentionally coming to the wrong conclusions. You're intentionally, letting these contradictions exist without resolution, and trying to set up this shaky argument. Oh, that's the way it is. It's okay. There's several ways this is done. But as I said, off the top of my head, I'm sorry. Like I need to get to where I can articulate this a little bit better. But it's it's the process of it really it is reversing the dialectic. It's it's pulling things apart, leaving them unexamined, not looking at the opposite, or the rhetorical opposite, with the contradictions, as it said, and just saying like, oh well, like that's how it is, and there's all this elaborate like a reverse dialectic is some of this stuff that we've talked about with these like takes on like these bad takes on cultural appropriation and racism, where you're ignoring these contradictions to send people to in these wrong, weird paths where they're then compelled to attack other working class people and be shitheads over stupid shit, because that's what happens when you go the wrong way with this shit. And so that's I'm sorry, like I need to organize my thoughts on this better, and I will endeavor to do so. But that's the point. But that's the idea, is that it's these pundits are paid and they exist and they keep showing up because the point of the game isn't to be correct or make the right opinions or educate people on what's going on with politics and what's going on around the world, and the issues that working class people face and things like that. They're not there to be correct about it. They're there to toe the line of the bourgeoisie. They're there to and the ruling class. They're there to muddy the waters and keep people away from class consciousness and from realizing that there's dialectics like sounds complicated, but it can be a somewhat intuitive thing, and most people have I would argue pretty much everybody has some aptitude for it inherently, but they're trained out of it by a lot of our education methods. This is part of it. You have all these fancy talking heads telling you wrong shit and sending you down the wrong path, and offering these red herrings for that won't help you understand whatever they're talking about, but make you think, oh, it's this, and like that's once you realize that, I believe anybody who realizes this, or media literacy, is just gonna shoot right the fuck up, because suddenly it makes sense what all these assholes are on about. Hey, the cat's back. I can pet him. So yeah, I'm talking in circles now, so I believe my point was made there. But yeah, like be skeptical. Why are these assholes saying what they do? That's how simple way to get into the dialectic of it. Why are they saying this? Like, what? Like, don't look at the surface level. Why are they telling me this? Why are they telling me it this way? Is what they're saying really matter? Ask yourselves questions like that. Even if you don't understand dialectics or whatever, that's fine. Like I said, nobody does. But question these narratives from these people who they obviously have motives, and just keep questioning it and thinking about why they're telling you this shit. And you see, you'll find that you're on a lot more stable ground, and that you'll be gaslit by this shit less, because you'll start to be like, oh, like that's why they're telling me this. I'm not going. Like they're trying to tell me I'm insane for like not understanding this absolute nonsense. But if I think about it, wow, it's nonsense. They're telling me this because they want to do this or that, and that's how you get started. And that's how you understand this shit better, from these bad takes online to pundits. And that's the kind of thing around here on Untitled Experimental Life podcast we hope to share and discuss methods for doing so.
I think an interesting question, I suppose, better handled another time, is less where do these ideas and takes originate from? Because when you see them online or in real life, they can't all be pundits, and they can't all be CIA operatives trying to trick you into disavowing the immortal sciences of socialism. Um, and so a lot of them are people who've either come to odd conclusions, maybe on their own, or just reproducing what they've seen. And I think an interesting question is, how do you approach that from people who sincerely believe this? And this isn't a scheme. This isn't a distraction. This is what this person believes as a concept they've developed or built on. Like, how do you address that? How do you approach people? Because ideally, you don't want to just leave people out there in the dust. It's like, well, this person's a fucking fool. They're not where I'm at. Well, how do you get to them, and how do you get them to be where you're at? I think
Yeah,
that's something interesting to consider. Probably not now because we're coming up on 2 hours.
Yeah, no, we gotta wrap up soon. But like that's I said I'm trying. Like that's part of what I've been trying to work on recently. As I said, owning libs is fun. And the people who've just really drunk the Kool-Aid and are hopeless, like, sure, yeah, get a dunk in every now and then. But like I brought this one back up because this person is a psyop. That's something I literally said about her earlier. But like, I mean, are they hired by the CIA? Probably not. But that's the thing. All these pundits and all there are like CIA operatives out there. I'm pretty sure they're on Twitter seeding some of this shit. But like I said, they're pretty all right at what they do, and they know how to put stuff out there that just sends people completely off the scent and on the trail of class consciousness. And so this person, yeah, probably isn't. Most of these bad takes probably aren't from people who are like, alphabet soup employees. They are sandwiches. I'll link me to those. I will. Yeah, they're not. Yeah, so they're not. They're probably not employed by them. But this whole system is set up, and all of these all of these takes are designed to get them to self-propagate and to get people who said, like, I'm sure this person probably thinks that they're doing a good thing. I mean, like, they have a it's hard to see, it's a little tiny on here, but they have a mask on and they're promoting the candidate that is against fascism, and they think they're super keen for doing that, and that they're like this like really cool person, and they're just trying to do the best, and it's probably genuine. And so they're kind of talking for black women, which is a bit of a no-no, but I think even still that's out of a genuine attempt to like try to help explain to other white people she's got to be white. If you zoom the picture, it's kind of obvious. Like, yeah, like she's trying to make, she's like, oh well, like I said, I'm trying to figure that out because I'm white and a dipshit. I'm like, is wage slavery a bad term? Like, because of its proximity to chattel slavery. So she's trying to be a good person and trying to be like, hey, we should, she's trying to be a good person, but it's like not correct. It's not. I copy all these things. I hope they work on Facebook. I hate Facebook. But that's what chat demands. So yeah, and like it's probably some people think I'm a bit of a crank, and maybe I am. But when I say things like this are a psyop, yeah, I don't mean like, oh, like all these alphabet agencies are out to get you. Like, it's a lot of people are falling for this shit, and most of them are genuine. But it's important to understand where they come from and why. And that's all we're talking about.
When their time comes, they'll just shoot you. They don't need to do this.
Yeah, and that's where, the challenge again, rather than owning the libs, try to engage with some of the people. Maybe the Biden mask person is pretty far gone if she's out here blasting takes like that, but maybe like maybe there's some people in the replies who are a little confused, and you can help out. And I'm trying to do better with that. And it's hard because sometimes you really want to own the libs. Sometimes you can own the libs a little bit as a treat, but no, try to help people understand this, and try to understand it yourself at a deeper level so that you can explain it simply.
Those are indeed some hearty sandwiches. I don't think I could make it but a couple bites into those. I do not have a large stomach.
I don't like my mouth. Like, I feel like I have a large mouth on average. I don't mean this in like a disparaging way. Like, yeah, I'm a loudmouth broad. I mean, come on. But I don't know, like, I feel like even this is like, I can't get my mouth around like tall sandwiches. The only sandwiches I like are burgers, and even then. And like one of my favorite burgers was like the old Whopper, like before they made it like just kind of a gross generic fast food burger. It was like nice and flat. It's so easy to eat. It had as a white person, I loved like the high amount of mayonnaise in it. Smash him and cut him in half. Please release. I think Elise wants to play games with you or something. Cat in a ninja shop. Contrary to popular belief, not a snake. But yeah, I think that about wraps it up for today. Did you have any closing thoughts, Thrills?
Well, today is the day where we celebrate our kings. So I hope our resident king is doing well. He's had a few celebratory mimosas and he's sleeping like a little prince.
I hope Smuglet's closing thought is aww. I was hoping to get Bofud and I got something nice. So yes. And I hope everybody watching has a great day. It didn't crash this time, so maybe I'll actually be able to upload this one to YouTube without effort.
There's 2 hours left in the day, and I'll try to make them good.
Yeah, I haven't done the last one yet because I've been busy with shit, and on top of that, I'll have to like stitch something together in a video editing app. I gotta figure that shit out. So, yeah, if anybody wants to do any like any labor of love production work for this. If we ever do actually make money, we will cut you in, but unfortunately don't have much at the moment. Hit us up, but yeah, I certainly don't expect that. It's a lot. I don't like doing it. So yeah, thanks for coming by, everybody, and yeah, hopefully someday we have a cool outro like True and On, like bye. If there's anybody I want to, I always keep forgetting to host. Let's see if there's anyone cool to host. I'm gonna turn off the record.